Erika Kirk was introduced to Charlie Kirk through Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. She had been procured for like Donald Trump's pageants. She won like Miss Arizona or something. She was literally a registered actress and starred in a reality TV show, a romance one at that. He met her on a trip to Israel. Charlie met her on one of these wall humping trips.
Charlie and Erika Kirk's private wedding footage has recently sparked a wave of online discussion. After clips from the ceremony began circulating, some viewers started closely analyzing Charlie's expressions and body language, with a number of people saying he appeared unusually serious or nervous during certain moments. Of course, there are many possible explanations for that. Weddings can be emotional, high-pressure events, and what some people interpret as discomfort could just as easily have been normal nerves. What has fueled even more conversation is the contrast people have pointed out between Charlie's public views and Erika's personal background. Charlie Kirk has often spoken publicly about traditional family values. Meanwhile, Erika Kirk built a very different kind of profile before their relationship became public. She earned multiple degrees, pursued professional opportunities, worked in real estate, was involved with charitable organizations, and also had experience in media, fashion, and public appearances. In 2011, she won the title of Miss Arizona USA 2011, which later led to her representing Arizona at Miss USA 2012. That background has led some online commentators to focus on the contrast between Erika's career-driven path and the more traditional values Charlie has discussed publicly. Another part of the story that people often revisit is how the two first met. What reportedly began as a professional conversation eventually developed into a personal relationship, a detail that many viewers now look back on with renewed curiosity. Whether that contrast means anything deeper is still a matter of interpretation. Public clips only show a small part of a much larger personal story, and without direct confirmation from the people involved, much of the online discussion remains speculation.
I'm there thinking it's a business interview.
It started that way.
Right. So we sit down and you grill me for 3 hours?
Yeah.
Easily. On philosophy, politics,
culture,
religion, culture, economics. What else? Everything else you can imagine, he grilled me. Anything he talks about on his podcast show, he grilled me on. Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Just didn't record it.
And then afterwards, he got finished with his burger and he just sat there and he looked at me and he's like, you know what? I'm not going to hire you. And I was like, that's fine. I don't need this job. I'm doing plenty of other things here in Manhattan. He's like, I'm going to date you. And you want to take it from there?
And you said you were kind of confused.
Of course I was confused.
Some accounts suggest that even before Erika's initial meeting with Charlie Kirk, there had already been conversations about her behind the scenes. According to these discussions, Tyler Bohr had spoken positively about Erika Kirk, highlighting her accomplishments and background. A few online narratives also claim that he may have encouraged Charlie to get to know her on a more personal level, even framing it as an interesting contrast between their different personalities and experiences. Of course, details around these early interactions aren't fully confirmed, but they've become part of the broader story people are piecing together when looking back at how their relationship began.
Well, I've never met anyone quite like her. I remember I called Tyler and I said he's going to have to find talent somewhere else. And whatever opening he thought she would fill, that was not going to work. And Tyler was trying to coach me down because he said that she was way out of my league. He's still right, by the way.
Some reports circulating online suggest that before Tyler Bohr was ever mentioned in connection with her story, there had already been earlier, indirect moments that people now find interesting in hindsight. In one public speech, Erika Kirk shared a personal anecdote about a trip she once took with her mother. She described noticing a man in a long airport ticket line who looked very familiar. At the time, her mother encouraged her to go say hello, but due to timing and hesitation, she chose not to approach him. Years later, she reflected on that moment and suggested that the person she had seen that day may have actually been Charlie Kirk. Moments like these are often revisited by viewers who enjoy connecting different parts of a story, even if they were just coincidences at the time.
But just know that nothing is by mistake. Nothing. I will never forget the time I was in Israel with my husband. Well, that was the second time, but the first time with my mother on a pilgrimage. And I was standing in the ticket line. And I remember looking behind me, and in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. And I told my mom, this guy looks so familiar. And as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi. No. We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence.
Some people online have described the story of Charlie Kirk and Erika Kirk as something almost like a modern-day fairy tale, a narrative that feels interesting, but also heavily shaped by perception and online commentary. Before their relationship became widely known, Erika was often described as someone who maintained a more private and family-focused routine, while also balancing personal and professional commitments. In public appearances alongside Charlie, viewers sometimes pointed out her clean, minimal style, simple makeup, understated outfits, and a more natural look overall. Over time, as her public visibility increased, some online observers noted changes in her presentation and fashion choices. These comments are largely based on personal perception, and different audiences interpret public appearances in different ways. A lot of the broader discussion online also focuses on how their paths first crossed and how their relationship developed over time. However, most of these details come from secondhand accounts or social media interpretations rather than confirmed narratives. Because of that, much of what circulates today remains part of online speculation and public conversation, rather than verified fact. At the end of the day, these kinds of stories tend to grow as people revisit old clips, interviews, and appearances, adding their own interpretations along the way.